And time now for a look at your weather forecast. Some rainy days ahead and ice in the mountains, Brittany.
Yeah, I think that the good news here is that tonight's impacts are going to be extremely low. There is technically a winter weather advisory in effect for the mountain communities. So that's Ashe, Watauga, Avery County, as well as Great Oak, Burke, or Caldwell. If you have the WCNC Charlotte mobile app, you probably got a notification earlier straight to your phone. But I don't want this to be something that we freak out about. This would be, if anything, a light glaze. Little to no accumulation is expected, but could cause some minor issues on the roadways if you are going to be traveling over the next 24 hours or so. But just know that a higher chance for ice accumulation is arriving, really just knocking on our doorstep. Here's Monday morning. You can see starting to see low end impacts for the Carolinas, but notice these will get medium and even high eventually as we start to get into Monday evening. And all of this ties in to the mountain communities especially. Right now you can see the large storm system that's impacting parts of the upper Midwest with snow and areas out to our west with rain is knocking on our doorstep. What happens first is that we get impacts tonight, but again, they're going to be very minor. So in the grand scheme of things, this would be like a tiny little appetizer that you're eating if everything that's happening Monday night and Tuesday is the main course, dessert, and maybe even some coffee after dinner. First thing that we're noticing is clouds starting to increase as we head into the overnight hours. Tomorrow, more of a chilly, cold, kind of raw day overall. Think temps in the 40s, lots of clouds, and areas of light rain. Here's that first round of some light rain up in the mountains as well as across the Piedmont. That's what causes that very low end risk of ice. In fact, model data is probably even lower now with what we're seeing up in the mountains overnight than what we had yesterday. So again, I want folks to be cautious on the roads, but it's not something I'm concerned about. Sunday afternoon, still cloudy, still chilly, areas of light rain, including by the time the Panthers are kicking off at 1 o'clock. Monday, very briefly dry before this is the main event. More areas of wintry mix, snow likely up in the mountains. This is Monday night, and then widespread rain across the Charlotte metro. This will continue off and on through most of the day on Tuesday. It will be heavy at times, making it a much bigger traffic impact. And even some of these areas up in the foothills where we see some upper 30s, that's a pretty good chance that not only is this a cold rain, but we could get some sleet and some ice mixed in there as well. Now again, this is going to be really touch and go as we go throughout the day on Tuesday, as there's a lot of things that can still change. But I want folks in the mountains to be especially cautious, not just overnight heading into Sunday morning, but again, as we see that secondary event, because anywhere up to a 1/4 inch of ice looks to be possible in some of these spots, and that 1/4 inch is where we start to see bigger issues. So again, this risk is primarily for those mountain communities, but even here in Charlotte, we're looking at a pretty cold rain with most of that rain on Tuesday. Good news is we have some dry days mixed in there as well. Monday, still chilly, but pretty nice. Wednesday, Thursday, a little bit drier. But the pattern that we're seeing over the next few weeks looks to be very chilly, very rainy overall. Good for the drought, but not so much for outdoor activities.